Bom, então é isso. Vamos lá começar meu próximo jogo, depois de Persona, que é o nosso caro Disco Elysium. Eu já joguei umas 10 e poucas horas desse jogo, só que eu não tinha ainda finalizado, enrolei, veio o Persona, aí eu não joguei mais. E até esqueci de algumas coisas já, como por exemplo, eu não sei se eu já falei com esses caras ou não. Eu lembro que a gente está no dia 2, claro, ali embaixo. E vamos ver como é que vai ser, né? Vamos ver aqui. É... Tá, eu me lembro. Eu lembro que eu fiz muita, mas muita coisa mesmo na. Tava usando esse chapéu, velho. Não, não estava. Bom, não tô conseguindo falar com ela. E com ele eu já falei. Acho que já, né? Oxe, eu não posso falar com ele. Oxe, meu. Pera aí, eu vou sair do controle, velho.
Yes? Look at you. It's because you're a failure. They sent you to Slight, Precinct 57. Just think about it for a second. You're a raging alcoholic who showed up 3 days late and argues with his necktie. You weren't sent here to win.
Eu vou falar pra ele.
I've considered it. It would be immensely ugly of them, not to mention unprofessional, but I also think it's somewhat unlikely.
Por
I
quê?
checked the records. This jurisdiction dispute, who polices Martinez, reaches back to the 30s. It's as old as my station. And all this time we can't decide who gets Martinez? I think, yes, both stations would prefer a win. Safe? No. But you're old. You've made it this far. Something has brought you through. We've only just started working together, so I don't know what it is yet. So no, I don't think they sent you as a joke. And even if they did, they are in for a surprise.
Ok, o Queen é muito legal. Cara, eu não sei se eu falo isso pra ele, ó. Vou falar agora não, pera aí. Oh meu Deus. Bom, eu já falei com
Looks
ele.
like the circus left him, but the clowns are still here.
Meu Deus.
Again, just get the dead guy's autograph, since you're here.
Good one, Titus.
About fucking time.
Tá, então eu já tinha falado com eles. E é melhor deixar assim mesmo. Bom. Aí foi, eu atualizei aqui. A minha mochila. Missão. Conseguir a ajuda do chefe do sindicato ou da representante da companhia. Ok. Tá. Me lembro disso. Ok, ok. Tá, vamos tentar achar o marido dela.
Fuck, does Kuno care? Kuno doesn't
Okay.
fucking care.
Ok, ok.
Looking for something?
Nada. Oxi.
A Stars Riker, one of the finest Zhimsk-made motor carriages ever. An oldie, but a goldie. Not many people outside of Grad, and Revachol West too, it appears.
A Stash Raiko KK2. That's a classic model. Never thought I'd see another one repainted after what happened last time. An old case for my precinct. A couple of Jim's migrants saw a Staj Raiko stopped in the street, painted just like this, muddy brown. Murdered the driver on the spot. They said it was an honor killing, Hussar style. The Jim's community protested the trial, flying the banners of some old king or whatever. 5,000 came to protest.
Correction, 4,395. The fourth largest public protest of a criminal trial in Revachol.
Ok. Ok, o que é a comunidade? Eu nem sei como é que pronuncia.
People we are paid to protect. Let's leave it at that.
As quais nós somos pagos para proteger.
4 years for murder in reunion. The perps were remorseful. Their sorry knocked 8 years off the sentence. That's the system.
O arrependimento tirou 8 anos da sentença.
The prisons in the greater Revachol Industrial Harbour are already full. Prisoners are expensive to maintain. The longer the sentence, the larger the cost.
Ok, entendi.
Could it be another Stajreiko murder? Honestly, that just doesn't seem like the type of vehicle our dead guy would drive. So my initial guess is the two are not related.
Nossa, só fala isso aqui, velho. Vamos falar.
Yes, detective? You sure you're not James?
Yes, you're sure you're not. Or if you are, it's only in that Revacholian way. 4 to 5% maximum.
Ok. Vamos ver se a vovó tem algo a dizer.
The woman still has her eyes fixed on the photograph.
A
In
mulher
her
ainda tem os
hands,
olhos
in the
fixos na
background, the
fotografia à
radio
mão.
plays. Nothing. Her smile just keeps widening. Nothing. Her smile just nothing. Her smile nothing. Her smile nothing. Her smile nothing. Her smile just keeps widening.
Eu tentei ver se
Her
mudava
hair is
alguma coisa.
grey. No response. Wherever this woman is, your words.
É, não vai. É, aqui eu já interagi. Oh meu Deus. Pronto, perfeito. Vamos ver aqui o motorista, o que ele fala.
Still here, stuck in this damn jam, my man. What's up? Huh? Oh. No, I ain't got any money. They don't want to pay for unfinished work. The bosses, man. Yeah, it sure ain't good for me. Or you. I'd spare a coin or two for a city cop down in his luck. If I had saved 4 myself.
Ok. Hoje era o que mesmo, velho? Hoje é terça, né? Terça-feira. Ok, aqui vai ter muito o que fazer. Tá, vamos andando. Será que eu falo com os velhinhos, velho?
Officer, the mere sight of police in Martinez makes me feel safer already.
A mesma
Vigilante
questão.
officer, What can this old carabiner do for you? It's a Bell McGrave, 4.46 caliber, breech loading. This one's inoperable. The bolt spring is missing and the
O
mechanism is
mecanismo
jammed
está
shut.
travado.
Still a beauty. Where did you find her? I'm not surprised. There are probably lots of forgotten wartime weapons lying around here. Back in the day, as for the rifle, I don't know what else to tell you. These BM-446s are an antique. No one uses them anymore. The ammunition is impossible to find. Ah, yes! King Philip III on his steed. A reminder of what...
Oh, absolutely. At the mercy of a cocaine-snorting tyrant who emptied the treasury so he could sleep on a bed.
A superpower, feared and respected. A testament to what this country can be under the leadership of a true king. Someone who knows how to rule. Decisively, without fear of offending the sensibilities of the frail and weak-minded among his subjects. This is something the insurgents never understood. A nation is only as strong as its leader. That's why it was such madness to try to...
Don't get started on that again. What happened, happened.
The carabiner doesn't reply, but his entire being no one and nothing can change this man's mind. He is as rigid as they come, still in that antique uniform. It's a symbol for him.
Ok.
Oh, old Philip was a big fan of the purple nose candy the nobility loved so much. A cocaine connoisseur of sorts.
You can't even take the responsibility for yourself. How could you fathom the responsibility weighing on the shoulders of a ruler? That's why the Philippian kings use cocaine, for clarity of vision, to aid in their work. Regnum cocainum, Revishal's finest years.
Of course. Clarity of vision. Awareness.
Philip III was even brought into this world with the help of cocaine. The court medic administered a dose to his mother when she was in labor, and it is well known that with the help of cocaine, only the purest of...
Higher realms. Of course. He's just making excuses for the king's habits, isn't he?
It's really not. Please, do spare us the cocaine fairy tales.
Yes, indeed. We're not here to investigate the drug trade of centuries past.
Oh,
You can't give... That's why...
Of course.
Philip III...
Higher realm. He's just making excuses for the king's habits, isn't he?
From what I've seen of the officers of the RCM... but I don't want to get into a debate about drug policies.
Ai, ai.
oh, hold.
You can't... That's why...
Of course.
Philip III...
Higher realm. He's just making excuses for the...
Please, officer, don't encourage him. Do spare us the cocaine.
Yes, indeed. We're not here to investigate the drug trade of centuries past.
Tá, vamos ver se acontece mais alguma
That's
coisa.
why...
Of course.
Philip III...
Higher... He's just making excuses for...
I'm listening. Right.
Pronto, é isso. Falei com os velhinhos. Ok. Um senhor. É a mulher. Tá. É ela aqui que eu preciso achar, o marido.
There must be another way into the building.
What's that noise down there?
Que isso, velho? Que som louco. Tá trancado. Muita coisa, velho.
You see a young man on a balcony nursing a cigarette. His eyes.
Not looking for any trouble, officer. There's no trouble. I'm just speaking in a lowered voice. I don't want to be seen talking to the gendarmerie if that's okay. I just want to finish my cigarette.
Don't let him go. This could be your witness. The balcony has a great view of the whole thing.
Vamos falar
Is it
com ele.
really that important?
Like a nervous cat, he keeps stealing looks at the neighboring windows.
All right, but make it quick. Once I finish this cigarette, I have to run. My name? My name is Martin Martinez.
That's definitely not his real name.
No, of course not. Could you please lower your voice?
Está silencioso como o fundo de um poço. Cada som capturado e lançado
Ask
de
him
volta.
again.
My name?
That's definitely not.
No, of course.
Ask him again.
Bora.
And I really need to finish this cigarette.
But he hasn't left yet.
I'd even go so far as to say that the view is a little too good, my dear gendarme. Do
Gendarme.
you have an estimate of when the body will be taken away?
We will remove the body as soon as possible. Now,
Oh. You already asked me that, didn't you?
Wait, is someone else investigating the lynching?
E agora? Não, quem não perguntou, porra?
No, not you. Some more muscular type.
Um tipo mais musculoso.
and when did you speak to this more muscular gentleman?
Last week? I don't know. Look,
Ele olha e volta pelo pátio novamente. Velhas cadeiras de pátio e vasos de plantas mortas desarrumam a
He's
cena.
an actor declaiming a soliloquy. See how you hang on his every word.
You didn't answer the question. What were you doing last Sunday?
That Sunday.
I had a friend over.
Recebi um
It
amigo.
was my Sunday friend.
Makes sense. Friends are nice on Sunday. You don't have to work. You can just spend time with pals, watching rugby and drinking beer.
Qual é o verdadeiro nome do seu amigo? Ele viu alguma
He
coisa?
doesn't reply, gesturing no with his cigarette. In the neighboring windows, you can see faint reflections of his silhouette, all from different angles.
No. We won't. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really need to get going.
Vamos apostar. Pau.
This isn't the place or time for questions. Who knows who might be watching from the distance, hidden behind the curtains.
Sugestão. Esta não é a hora nem o lugar para questionamento. Oh, fuck. Ei, escute. Eu só estou tentando acertar as coisas de novo. Nós podemos nos encontrar em algum outro lugar
For a
novamente?
moment, the man on the balcony seems almost vulnerable.
Algo se move nas
moves in the
profundezas
depths
dos
of his feline eyes.
compaixão e um
and
misto de
I
compreensão.
am sorry, but I really don't have the information you're looking for.
But, hold on, what's that? For a split second, his hand lingers, as though gesturing towards a stone placed right next to the front door.
Colocada ao lado da porta da
It's
frente.
a sign.
Como se gesticulasse em direção à pedra colocada ao lado da porta da frente.
Good luck with the investigation.
Adeus. Deu bom. Boa sorte com a investigação.
He's gone. No point in running. Tenements like these often have multiple exits. If he doesn't want to talk to us, then he'll know how to hide himself. He could be a witness. Him or his Sunday friend. Either way, we need to look into that muscular type. He did leave us a sign. Did you see that? He wanted to draw our attention to that stone right over there.
Tem um pedaço murcho de
If we
grão.
find a way inside the building, we can ask around for his apartment.
A stone like any other, lying in a whirl of sleet and mud. Maybe there's something under. There's a key beneath it, rusty from the dirt.
This must be for the front door. Pity it doesn't have the apartment number on it. This building has many apartments and the man can be in any of them. We'll just have to go in and see.
Beleza, papai, beleza. Avisos de despejo de animais perdidos estão emplastrados em cima um dos outros. Calma que eu vi. Esta caixa está cheia de produtos de limpeza, tem cheiro de detergente de roupas. Peguei. Tem mais algo? Não. Balcony. Ok, já subi aqui. A caixa do disjuntor está cheia de bitucas de cigarro e fios elétricos. Moedas. Quero. Calma aí que antes de a gente subir... Alguém desenhou uma estrela de 5 pontas na parede. Oh, bom senhora, a porta 9 está trancada. Apartamento 8, a caixa de correspondência está transbordando. Não tem como mexer não. Opa, tem uma caixa aqui. Moedas. Real. Isso aqui é uma moedas. Mais moedas. Opa. Droga. Itens. Este cartão postal amassado retrata um mercado a céu aberto em Bug Street, 5 anos atrás. Um vendedor sorri com galos mortos alinhados em sua barraca. pendurados pelos pés no dossel. Sangue vermelho flui para as luas lamacentas, onde sombras borradas de pessoas passam. Não tem como interagir. Ok.
You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture. The number on the panel says 10.
Calma.
This door has been closed with a padlock.
Cadeado.
A chalk-drawn number on the board says number 11. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle is deeply corroded. A solid pair of chain cutters would make short work of it. Better whip out those cutters. You won't get very far otherwise.
Calma aí, velho. Vou falar com a senhora.
Give me a moment.
Senhora da limpeza. Uma idosa está se apoiando em sua vassoura, suas juntas brancas como osso. Ela parece ter dificuldade para
The
respirar.
cold never does any good for my bronchitis.
Você está
I'm
bem?
fine. Fine. Don't you worry about me.
You're still worried. It's very worrying.
Now, what do you want from me, policeman?
She's the cleaning lady. She knows the floor plan and the residence.
Quem é você?
I'm no one. Just an old woman who cleans these hallways.
Você mora aqui?
If you can call it living. I have a little room upstairs right next to the coal room.
Ok, ela tem um quartinho no andar de cima, ao lado da sala da caldeira.
It's barely bigger than a closet. But I don't complain, no. I have my bed and my aching bones to keep me company. And that's all I need from this world.
Cara, a
She
dublagem é
hasn't
muito
spoken
boa.
to anyone for a while. Even her sentences feel rusty.
Eu tenho algumas perguntas sobre esses apartamentos.
Ask away, policeman.
Um dos moradores está de férias, a caixa de correios está
People come
transbordando.
and go. I don't keep an eye on it.
They probably just moved or died. Hopefully somewhere else.
Quem mora no apartamento número 10?
No one lives there. It's been empty for months.
Mas eu ouvi alguém andando lá dentro.
I would know if someone had moved in there. Maybe it's those countercultural people again, breaking into a house like it's a public space. You're a policeman. Be good and take a look, will you?
Opa!
Great. Young people. They're worse than rats. You know, always littering the hallways with trinkets and empty beer cans.
Quem mora atrás da porta fechada com cadeado?
Oh, that one is a scientist, a future scholar. I think he studies astrology at the community college. Education's good. I always tell them to study.
Estuda astrologia.
Something to do with all those stars around his door. He asked me to leave his drawings up on the wall.
Você tem certeza que não quer dizer
That's what I
astronomia?
said. Astrology.
Astrology.
The lieutenant shakes his head as though to say, "Come on, people. Try to keep up any standards here. It's not about stars. It's... forget it." She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks something into her handkerchief.
Está procurando por um jovem de 20 e poucos anos, cabelo escuro magro, um fumante da
Yes,
sacada.
yes. I know who you mean. The scrawny boy who's always smoking like...
Somewhere in the building, a child starts crying. You hear a radio tuned to a talk show and someone taking a shower.
Ok.
What's he in trouble for?
Sem problema, eu só quero falar com ele.
Talk?
What was so funny about that?
He lives upstairs in room 28. Go to the balcony. It's one of those doors there. He's usually home in the evening.
Ele mora no andar de cima, no quarto número 28. Vá para a sacada, é uma das portas de lá. Ela aponta para o leste. Ele normalmente está em uma casa à
Thank
noite.
you.
Está em
We should
casa
go
à
check out
noite.
his apartment on the balcony. See if he's home.
Ok. O grafite diz: um esquadrão de fuzilamento para os ricos. Uma nota em que se lê: despejado pela Associação Imobiliária de Martinez. Saída. Ok. O mar abaixo parece gelado de um cinza invernal. Que tá quebrado, né? Alguém derrubou a parede. Puta merda. Uma velha lista de mantimentos na mesa e cheques. Ok. Dinheiro. Ok. Aqui vai dar onde? Ok.
Ruination has come. The broken arches betray the once grand history of this building. It towered over the harbor until it happened.
Forme palpite sobre o que
A great
aconteceu.
force from the northeast fired into the city. Heavy artillery shelled the coastline, fired from the water. The tenement acted as a defensive wall against the worst of the shelling until it was destroyed, and they had a direct firing line.
Absorva
The
o
waves of the
oceano.
Martinez Inlet rolled over the fallen remains of the building. The dark waters obscured the better part of the remains. What didn't fall into the ocean was used as scrap. What wasn't used as scrap was thrown into the ocean. Those arches acted as support for something greater than what you see now. Only 3 stories stand where 9 to 12 once did. Restoration has failed. What the shelling took out was never rebuilt.
Ok. Cara, se... Meu Deus, que prédio é esse, velho? Quem fez isso? Esse estrago?
A fleet, the combined armies of Occident and Grad, with Mesk volunteers, a 5-nation army. They massed airships further down in the Bay of Revachol. The artillery was so powerful. The ships not only required gyroscopic stabilization, they were anchored into the ocean floor as well. Many are still there to this day. If you squint, you can just barely see the shadow on the water. Far in the northeast, Coalition warship Archer can shoot 50 shells a minute on 20 co-aligned archers. They will reach the city in 58 seconds.
The coalition. But that was a long time ago. I think we should move on.
He does not like talking politics of this kind.
Alright.
Hey, up here, piggo.
Acima, as lonas oscilam, martelos e pregos esquecidos enferrujam. O que é aldeado está enferrujado, você não pode entrar. A cadeira é nova, alguém mora aqui atrás. Tá lá embaixo.
The streets will flow
Cindy.
red once more. A great torrent rushing down Rue de Esperance. You wait and see.
The streets will not flow red with anything. Who are you?
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood type, the last time I was tested for Hep C.
Falar correto. Ah, eu não sei se eu falo correto. Vamos começar com o sétimo sanguíneo e seguir daí. Ah, que raiva. Foda-se.
Go where? Accosting a minor?
Listen to your partner, pigman. Keep your grubby hooves off little old ladies.
A brush, an artist. The red splatter is urban expressionism. That smell coming from her paint bucket. It's not paint, it's heavy fuel oil. Red-dyed heavy fuel oil is only used in government vehicles, or at least that's the idea.
O que você
The
está
lieutenant
olhando?
furrows his brow at another one of your eccentricisms. Hatred, disgust. It's difficult to tell which of the two is more present in her girlish features. The woman on the boat does not notice her staring.
Joyce Messier.
That is on her. Someone's got to keep an eye on her.
Ozon is an archipelago 2 days' travel away from Rivershot. Its moneyed residents, used to posh restaurants and upscale boutiques, rarely have reason to visit Martinez.
Probably the Wild Pines rep.
Who is
We should
she?
talk to her. She's a professional negotiator, though. I have the feeling she will be very cooperative while telling us nothing.
Ok.
You should take the lead. Ask her unexpected questions, you know? Do your thing. Don't be afraid to get a bit wacky, throwing her off.
Good idea, piggies. Run along now. Fuck her shit up good. And pound that boat while you're at it. I'd like to watch her swim back to us on.
Ai, ai. O que você está fazendo com a
Can't you
parede?
tell? I'm painting a beautiful mural. An aereo graffitio visible from low. I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words.
Então você não sabe o que
Have you ever
escrever?
tried your hand at graffitio? When faced with a blank wall, most people write unimaginative stuff, like pigs go home and Mono is here. We rarely see pigs round here, though. Just union cats. And my name's not Mona, so...
She wants it to be something true and total.
This place is severely lacking in havoc. Not even the occasional trash can fire to break up the tedium. I thought I'd mix it up, you know, summon the forces of crime and social chaos with a wall-sized invitation. Yeah?
Oh my god.
Thanks. I'm sure the inspiration will come to me. Now that I have an
She means the opposite. You've lessened her desire to deface the building.
Ok.
I ain't no snitch, pigstein. Go forth and forage in someone else's shit. No shortage of squealers in these parts.
Actually, there is a shortage of people who talk to us in a normal, calm, informative manner.
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant, fucko.
Isso é combustível do
What
governo?
did you think I was using? Aquarels? Sucked it out of a cop's fuel tank myself. Back in Jamrock.
She really did it. She's proud of it too.
Something to think about next time you're driving around in your pretty little piggy carriage. What do I care about some fucking tin eggshells? Ugh, alright, sad piggy. I'll give you this one. I saw a little girl in the fishing village running around with military grade handwear. Looked cute as hell.
Uma garotinha na Vila dos
If you haven't
Pescadores.
been there, the village is a shithole down the coast from the main plaza. Have a good time! No. That's all the snitching Cindy the Skull does for today. Actually, I have a weakness for animals. It's the animal thing again. Damn it.
Or a weakness for police officers, miss. Thank you either way.
Te vejo depois,
Watch your
Cindy.
back, ungulate. You've got eyes on you.
You got eyes on you. You got eyes on you. Eita porra. Calma aí, velho. Alguém esteve dormindo aqui recentemente. Cindy? É. Carvão suficiente para durar alguns invernos. Cheira a produtos químicos. Não dá pra abrir. Jeans por Lorham Trabalhador. Ok. Tem nada aqui mais. Beleza. Tá. Aqui já não dá mais pra fazer nada, né? Nothing. Tá, não dá pra descer também. Não. Pronto, já olhamos aqui. A saída daqui. Pronto. Trancado. What is this? Apartamentos Capside. Rua Saint-Ghislaine, rotatório norte. Dentro, uma motocicleta desmontada e as ferramentas usadas para o conserto. Deixa eu vir por aqui. Ah, tá, entendi. Pera. Ah, eu já olhei esse aqui, né?
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here.
Opa. Ok. Parece que existiam mais construções aqui, em algum momento, décadas atrás. Magnésio e só, né? Atracação reservada para residentes da rua Saint-Ghislaine. Epa, não. Sombras na água, plantas verdes abaixo da superfície calma. Seu quarto no Irling não é muito maior que esta chalupa. Isto vale mais do que você vai ganhar em toda a sua vida.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good morning, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines Group. Why, yes I am. The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name.
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19...
She makes a point of being unromantic about it.
Why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion. It's a pleasure craft. A 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not?
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas a la Mer island groups are archipelagos, while La Caillou, by contrast, is a single fertile landmass, the fourth largest island in the world. It is not an archipelago.
Okay, if you want to get technical. The point is, we're all on islands here, and sail is still the most expedient way to get from one island to another, especially when you're in a hurry to resolve a strike. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor car.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. Why what? Stop thinking. Take her down. Charge. You've got the guns and the ammo.
Oh my, the E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class?
Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Messier is a professional negotiator?
Then what does that say? Does it say docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A? 33A, this old proletarian haunt here. As I said, plenty of people drive boats, of all social strata.
Vamos lá, postar pau.
She
Inferno.
takes a sip.
Okay. Of course.
Nothing happens for quite a while. It doesn't.
My, it's as if there's a tiny spinner on the side of his head and he's reading thoughts out.
Except he isn't.
The lieutenant is satisfied with where this is going.
Lieutenant, I don't understand what is happening here.
Ai.
I told you his methods are unconventional.
Por que eu não estou detonando?
Your marbles on glass, dear. Don't worry. It was quite a while ago, but I think, yes, we were discussing my fast, large, ineluctably middle-class boat. Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Good.
Ai, ai. Fala-me sobre a White Pines.
What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things.
Esse é o lado do transporte das coisas.
And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
Plataformas em alto mar.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain. Son-Baptiste, LUM, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star.
Why, thank you.
Oh, meu Deus.
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year the company booked more than
20
20
bilhões
billion
de
real in revenue.
real. Será que eu digo, velho? Ai.
And to think, there are years when the group books losses in the billions.
Que há anos em que o grupo contabiliza perda nas casas dos bilhões.
Warpines employs 72,000 people, all of whom have families that depend on their salaries. It is a tremendous responsibility.
E onde
They
ela arruma?
started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Easterlers 250 years ago, when pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain.
Cara, a história desse negócio é bizonha, velho. Os caras estão de parabéns.
Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it. You know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed or been absorbed. To survive, Wild Pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that.
Tá.
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
Reflexão adquirida, a 15ª Indotribo.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Que é, mulher?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator.
Negociadora
In
trabalhista
practice,
sênior.
I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
Ok.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Oh, so you've met him. Has he beguiled you with his
My colleague has his peculiarities. Let's not go into this particular one, just...
Of course. To each their own. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
There are leaflets everywhere and banners. What every worker, a member of the...
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
Eu tenho que agradar ela, eu acho. Cara, é uma dessas duas. O que é que eu falaria, velho? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Vai.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker a member of the board.
Está com medo disso. Será que eu entro numa filosofia com ela? Afinal, o que isso quer dizer?
It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision, about what? About anything really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in it. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rag...
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the boyar at the gates, the one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
Mañana?
This checks out.
Ok.
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the Union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the Union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Ok.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his... Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The debardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Debardeurs Union is... Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
A ex-capataz do sindicato, ela desapareceu.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter.
Okay.
The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, man. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help?
Será que eu mostro a foto primeiro?
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the forestay to the backstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct, and this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
She must have been suspecting.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. I mean, favors for favors. A dirty alliance of some sort. Consider this. Perhaps she has been planning it all along. That you convince yourself into colluding with her.
Vamos tentar.
Easy. Just offer her a favor. Like I said, nice and dirty.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
Ok.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority, or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that—
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Ok.
It's clear you like the hard stuff, Brota. Evening falls. The time has come to take the vows of blood and flesh.
And flesh.
Lower intestine. The term is metabolic and circulatory system. Fascism, Brota. Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Who does your gut tell you is the source of Revachot's problems?
A quem que seus instintos culpam por fonte dos problemas? Estrangeiros.
Yes, them, but also women.
Womans.
Women, men of war. You don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. Woo men need to go back to the fucking kitchen. That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important. But the main thing is that woo men need to know their place.
Meu Deus.
Stomach truth. You're having a stomach truth. Because you've said the hard things that others won't say. The good things, you've said them many times. Okay, yes, let's call it that. Good thinking. That sounds much better. Traditionalism. You like the sound of that.
You like the sound. Ai, vamos pro julgamento.
You're going to keep your views, right? Keep your views, Brota.
Meu Deus do céu, e agora? Macho, eu vou recusar. I must. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Eu tô com medo de aceitar e ele recusar a missão dela. Mas acho que isso tem nada a ver. Foda-se, vou rejeitar.
There's a slow, painful growl somewhere in your intestines, knocking on your out. It is one of betrayal and disappointment.
Oh meu Deus.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation. Maybe this is all her plan. She might have heard about you.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8x6 and...
The situation might have changed drastically by the time you locate it.
You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months. No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done, and demand for her information on the lynching. I wouldn't go that far. Her reaction did come off as sincere to me. I think she's just quick to adapt. She's a professional, after all.
Okay.
Yes. Knowing this does not really change our position, however. I'm sure you will, Detective.
Ok.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Not an umbrella, I hope. I don't need one myself, you see. Sadly, I need this one myself. It's hydrophobic, repels water, almost magically. The company makes them for offshore platform personnel. What I can do for you is answer some questions. Nothing like talking to pass a rainy day. It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff. Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wildpine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, man. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Precisely. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they are vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share
Uncovering Union secrets could also give you an upper hand when dealing with them.
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will... Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable.
Well, at least this solves one.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand. We did, on more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct...
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers. How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely. Then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
Cara, muito legal.
The two might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm...
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done.
Tinha mais algo pra
She
discutir?
simply nods.
Ah, tinha.
This reality.
Yes, reality is an experimental site. The aim is to gain a deeper understanding.
Truly curious. A sort of philosopher detective.
Are they now?
A deep synthesis. I'll assist you however I can then. Go ahead.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
We're in Martinez, baby. Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol, and the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest...
Known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensités Bleues, the Blue Immensities. Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her, and to humanity at large.
I would be happy to. What is a preposterously expensive education for, if not... We're in Martinez. A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed. Aren't we all?
She refers to your corresponding ages.
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Revachol? Revachol is what you call a sick, the great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries. The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed. In the DeLorean century, 380 years ago. They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
Ok.
I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom, coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Da Insurcom, Comando Missionário Insulídico. Insulídico.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it. She observes your eyes scanning the horizon, then breaks the silence, slowly. This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
It's better not to eat all your candy at once.
Indeed. I'm always at your service. These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time. the revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even exist.
She likes the totality of it.
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. Yes, King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective, or the remaining gentry, the beneficiaries of the pre-revolution. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
Cabe aqui a menção, caso alguém veja esse vídeo, é que o estúdio criador de Disco Elysium, ele é de algum país do leste europeu, onde eram os países socialistas, então é por isso que a gente tem, na minha visão, por causa disso, e talvez pelos membros da equipe terem no mínimo buscado referência a toda a situação aí de 1950 para frente e tal, com a Guerra Fria, no mínimo eles foram pesquisar, buscar a vibe de tudo isso. É por isso que a gente vê tanto no jogo. Muitos aspectos assim, na minha opinião, as músicas, um cenário muito que traz, se alguém já assistiu filmes, viu coisas, conteúdos, você vai ver muito tipo uma familiaridade com esse lado mais socialista do leste europeu. E não só, talvez, buscando tão assim por fora, mas os próprios temas, como aqui se falando, pegam muito, na minha opinião, talvez uma visão que várias pessoas do leste europeu devem ter. Eles devem ter uma visão aliás, eu acredito que eles tenham, né? Uma visão muito mais diferente do que a nossa sobre essas questões de sistemas econômicos, políticos. Então eles estão bem mais, talvez, em uma maré cinza do que, sei lá, o pessoal aqui da América do Sul, que é muito ainda influenciado pelos Estados Unidos. Então, as reflexões que eles trazem aqui, muita gente do Brasil não goste, não entenda, mas é sensacionais. É muito bom. O quanto eles estão falando do mundo real por meio do jogo, sabe? Isso é uma coisa muito sensacional, muito legal. Bom, eu quero ver se eu encerro a conversa dessa mulher e vou encerrar para receber minha comida. Já foi quase 2 horas. Esse jogo é sensacional, velho. Como os liberais conseguiram tudo.
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention, the coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The coalition of nations, Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-le-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
Ok.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
Governo da
This is
coalizão.
their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
Esse assunto tá bem complexo. Eu tô entendendo aonde quer chegar, mas eu não tô sabendo o que responder. Ela tá dizendo, pelo que eu vejo, entendo, que é justamente tipo a coalizão, o governo da coalizão, eles vieram aqui impedir uma revolução comunista. Eles preferiram, assim como no mundo real, que as mortes, as desgraças no mundo fossem tratadas da maneira que são. Uma coisa bem mais sutil. Na pobreza, em dominação capitalista. E ela tá falando que tecnicamente, como eu faço parte da instituição desse governo da coalizão, querendo ou não, eu também concordo com isso. Se eu falar isso aqui, eu tô, tipo, praticamente dizendo, realmente, tipo, eu não vejo uma visão diferente. Tem que ser assim, o mundo. Se eu disser isso aqui, eu tô dizendo totalmente, tipo, total. E aqui já me deixa neutro. Eu sou e também não sou. Ok. Mas eu acho que todo mundo tem uma essência dizendo que ele não é um moralista.
Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work.
Mas deu pra entender.
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government.
Zarat.
It made people overthrow their governments. Indeed, Zarat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material.
It was a funny time in history. They discovered transistors and rock music, but they didn't know anything about prions. Nobody did.
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
O que veio depois?
You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Nossas vidas na zona de
Something
controle.
tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill, Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-easlary communication. telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
Revachol West.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time.
Then you happened. Your youth and all that untaxed income must have fueled.
Yes, and quantitative easing. It was a market mirage, unfortunately. The 40s dispelled it. An Isla-wide hangover, you might say. So,
Puta merda, velho. Eu apertei sem querer um negócio. E eu apertei sem querer. Toda aquela receita não taxada deve ter abastecido o novo. Foi quando eles descobriram o disco. Que disco não?
Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
Okay.
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not. Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the king and led the Pines to doom. I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company.
She narrows her eyes, turning her gaze to the future out of professional habit. All she can see are vague outlines of a great winding down. The doldrums. People killed, but no great transitions of wealth. It makes her feel old, and something else. Something you can't put your finger on.
Cara, tipo, eu tô há meia hora ou mais aqui e tipo, meu Deus, que conversa. Eu não consigo entender a mulher, ela é muito complexa, velho. Olha o nível do negócio, velho. Eu não sei se ela é puramente uma capitalista desgraçada, se ela tem um lado comuna total por dentro dela. Que bizarro, velho. O quão moralista ela é.
Good question. What would you have done differently? And you would have died, most likely. Not far from here. maybe even right here, during the beachhead, defending the coast the day the Coalition took the city. No, almost certainly. The Commune would have forced you. Such was the fate of the undecided. They are what they are. Who knows? And after... Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer. She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
Vou liberar.
An ultra-liberal. It's a type of liberal. From the revolution. It's, not the moderate kind. Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution.
Uma daquelas que arrastou o rei para baixo de um vagão de merda e traiu a revolução.
We surrendered the nation to financial colonists. No sane person identifies as an ultra anymore. Not in broad daylight. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
A real é que eu não me importo.
A fitting punishment, to be forgotten, if not forgiven. Save a prayer for us in our chateaus on Ozon and in Stella Maris. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
Tipo assim, eu queria ver muito o que ela falaria se eu dissesse que eu que a gente perdoou, enfim, né, que a gente, ele, Revachol, perdoou ela. Só que eu quis manter uma coerência do que eu quero responder. Apesar de que alguns é muito cagada, eu respondi que eu não me importo. Eu acho que eu queria responder isso e tô seguindo meus instintos nas minhas respostas. Mas eu queria muito ver o que ela iria responder. Queria muito. Você teria feito algo diferente?
To our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery. I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake. Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isla down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
Cara, muito legal. Eu não tava entendendo o que ela era justamente porque ela é uma mistura das coisas. Ela tem ainda uma garra pelo ultraliberalismo. Só que ao mesmo tempo, ela reconhece o quão ruim é o território dela ter se rendido aos estrangeiros. Cara, muito legal, velho. Ai.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
You're no dummy yourself. And the crown on your head
Eu tô sendo
as you lay in the casket.
hipócrita aqui.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patron.
Seditious talk, man.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality? A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see, and new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall, a real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off.
Splat, splat.
Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead.
Olha só todo esse texto falando sobre o capitalismo.
All right.
Incrível.
What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
And what would that be? Ah, yes. That is what counts, I suppose. For my part, I was more of a new girl. The new, a cultural era, and the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It came out of post-revolutionary. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne-coloured everything. By the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now, wasn't it Guillaume Le Million who said, "If you can remember the new, you weren't there"? Ah, yes. This is not very central to reality, is it? I can't be 100% sure, but I believe he died due to complications from venereal disease. All of them. I'm afraid no. But then again, one can't be entirely sure. It's all part of his mystique. Asks anyway, what other basic facets of reality should we discuss?
Eita, eita. Vamos tentar isso? O que é? Pense em algo próximo a você. Pau.
6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Taybrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" Yes, he lost his mind, Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do.
You're an officer of the RCM. Preciso Mundo. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective.
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
He's being sarcastic.
We are.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin.
Crepúsculo da lei internacional.
The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional rulers like it. Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial
Eu
arrangement.
pulei sem querer ali, ó. Eles chamaram de Zona Internacional porque nenhuma nação queria clamar responsabilidade. A RCM restaurou a paz onde a coalizão falhou. Uma iniciativa digna dos cidadãos. Ela sorri. Eles nunca esquecerão vocês. Aí o Kim falou. Isso é um tanto exagerado. O tenente interpõe. Na realidade, o nosso é um acordo de benefício mútuo.
Ravasholians get to keep the peace in Ravashol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. Anyway, sorry to intrude. Please continue.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help. Nothing more nor less than the...
Yes, we are...
He's being sarcastic.
Yes, that means not. Permit me to conclude with this. Who, and if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. More lessons in basic reality? My fate, glad to have been of assistance. Of course, detective.
Cara, puta de diálogos doidos, fodas, legais. E eu aprendi muita coisa, eu acho. Muito doido. Onde é que tá meus pontos de habilidade, velho? Eu não sei mais mexer. Muita coisa, velho. Cara, muito bom. Ah, tá ali o ponto de habilidade. Tem 2. Eu estou pensando aqui em qual posso upar, velho. Essa parece ser a mais importante das reflexões. Também senti isso. Acho que eu não vou ler as outras não ainda. Vou fazer logo ela. E bom, tem muitas coisas para fazer. Temos um pontinho. Mas eu vou deixar isso para próxima. Fazer aqui o salvamento. E bom, gente, é isso aí. Valeu.